So, all right. Well, here's what frustrates me when companies think about this role. They hear NetSuite admin, it's a single person, it's a single job, and it doesn't matter what size company, what you do, how complicated. This person who can come in and do searches, roles, reports, and add a table and add some fields, they should be able to handle everything in your company kind of forever. And it's really, really interesting, that mindset.
Sun is up in Austin. The coffee is hot and the tortillas are fresh. Welcome to this episode of Taco Tuesday. Let's get into the layers of your business before the salsa hits the paper plate.
Bacon, egg, and cheese. 3 ingredients. Not a complicated taco. No secret technique. First some basic skills, a good hot flat top, and the good ingredients can make a great bacon, egg, and cheese taco. So here today, talking about NetSuite admins and what a basic NetSuite admin can do and what you might need later. So with me, I have Lander Bravo. Welcome, Lander.
Thank you for having me.
And Lander has been working with NetSuite in an operations role, a COO role with lots of, complicated distribution and warehousing and more. So I'm going to let Lander take a moment and introduce himself. He'll do a much better job.
Thank you. Yes, as you said, I'm Lander Bravo, COO, VP, Operations, Finance, Supply Chain. I have been within a NetSuite environment since early 2000s as they're rolling out and into very recent rollouts just recently. But as you said, high growth companies, direct to consumer, omni-channel businesses, enterprise product and platforms that had international and wide distribution or manufacturing requirements and kitting and parts and all these great things that we bring into the NetSuite world and try to solve with. So my background, long storied history with NetSuite, and actually now pretty passionate about the platform and what it brings into an organization.
Wonderful. Well, so today we're going to talk about the basic NetSuite admin, and then we're going to go up into how you make a full-fledged meal. So for now, we're going to get started. We're going to just go ahead and rock and roll. So, all right. Well, here's what frustrates me when companies think about this role. They hear NetSuite admin, it's a single person, it's a single job, and it doesn't matter what size company, what you do, how complicated. This person who can come in and do searches, roles, reports, and add a table and add some fields, they should be able to handle everything in your company kind of forever. And it's really, really interesting, that mindset. What do you think, Lander?
I agree. I think that, depending on the size of the company, that role of NetSuite admin has to take on different responsibilities and, morph into different beings. But we still call it a NetSuite admin. There's certain expectations that we have out of that role. It becomes one of those ubiquitous roles that you question whether it's a cost generator or if it's an optimization or revenue supporter. It's a difficult one. And there is often I've seen in my companies that have been either, optimization situations, reimplementations, really cleanup or situations, you can see that it's either how that role has been framed and the responsibilities and accountability in that role also can lead to what ends up happening of having to then unravel it and clean it up to really optimize the system because of the way either the personality of the individual or how that role was framed by the company. So depending on the size, I've seen it take on many different iterations of what we call NetSuite admin.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen the companies that are, there's 20 people, maybe they grow to 60 people and they hire this person who's really good at their job. They're like, hey, I need this role. I need this search. I need these forms. I need it to look good. And they do an amazing job. And then this company is super successful and they grow. They just really double, triple in size. And they go from that 40 to 200. And then they're just like, why can't you do your job like you used to? What's different? And they don't really realize, well, your company is 100% different than what it was at 40 than now at 200, but they're still expecting the same, just doing the same things will produce the same results. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree. I've not ever been a NetSuite admin with a title or role, but in my roles in operations and finance, I've sat in the intersection of the people, process, and technology. And I've found that, early on within a NetSuite environment, I think that the organizations want to, and the stakeholders within the organization want to have this central office per se, that you do all those things. NetSuite admin does all the customization scripts, template updates, new fields. And I've often pushed that mentality aside for a philosophy that is, super users. Every department needs to be able to, and NetSuite is fantastic in this, to be able to run, their own certain levels of customization. You don't want to have everybody have admin rights, but you want to be able to have super users that can actually do their own business and then distribute those responsibilities. And when early stage, I found you get this Nest admin and there's like, yeah, I could do these things. It's a small company. They're willing and often want to take on multiple things. And then as you scale and integrations, systems, architecture get more complicated, that NetSuite admin no longer is that go-to like IT person. Like, just make a field for me. It's much more strategic and complicated and thinking through, where have we come in the iteration of our NetSuite and what have we customized to what is now the new initiatives, and what do we need from a product perspective of whether it's additional enhancements to NetSuite instance they have, whether it's fields and updates of scripts and certain automation that comes in. It's you get that loss, and then there becomes a divide. It's the void between where the company's going and where this admin seat has sat. And I think that's been a lot of the complications I see within this world of NetSuite admins versus core super users, stakeholders responsible for continuing growth, and thinking about that admin as more of a strategic product partner within the ecosystem of a NetSuite. And so they're coming together. And so I haven't had that be, I've seen that be not very successful. And it's really, I think it's a negative, it becomes negatively impacting of the organization because they're seeing this NetSuite admin or NetSuite itself holding the organization back. And then there's this big divide where the organization needs to get to. And then the admin's sitting in a seat like, my job was just to do, these small customizations. And now I don't know where this organization has come. So it's
Right.
been really challenging.
Yeah, it's multiple things, right? Because they're left in the role of doing some basic pieces. They're not really in the role as the company grows and becomes more complex, offers more products, etc. They're not in the role of understanding what are the new products, how do they work, how are they supposed to be built, how does it work from inventory out to sales orders, how does it work from getting it more in stock so that you can stock that so you can get it out the door. They're not really involved in those conversations. Then they're saying, well, now I need to track this new feature. And they're like, okay, I'll put that on the item record. And now that new feature, the people in billing going, well, I'm supposed to bill on that. Like, oh, you are? Well, let me put it on the invoice. Like, well, I see the field, but there's no data. Oh, well, what's the data that's supposed to be there?
Right.
And then and then inside of this, it's all about where's the business analyst that says, all right, you want to add a new feature. Are you going to charge for it? Who's going to enter that data? Where does it start? How do you know? And then that business analyst can write the entire story of, oh, the new feature will be a new thing in inventory only for these items, only under these circumstances. So this is where we need to put the fields. These are the workflows we need to have. Why? And it doesn't break everything else when you add it in. Like, you got to have the whole context.
Yeah, it really becomes less of that admin and really business analyst or strategist or business intelligence that is thinking of NetSuite not just as a system, a platform, right? As in, we always talk about it. It's just an ERP system. It has all these modules. But it becomes this central record. And I always talk about this, the record of truth, the primary source of truth that everything has to flow into and flow out of. And if we don't set that up meaningfully in the first go of any new initiative, then you get exactly that. You lose that. What is the use case? What is the stories? How do we build the workflows? And think about this end to end. And there's not a lot of time given to that because they think, oh, admin just put a field here. And we're not thinking upstream or downstream or longer term. And so in a lot of ways, I've inherited these environments that have done just that. And then I have to peel back, go back to the whiteboard, ask the questions, go cross-functionally to say, what are we doing operationally? Where is our business going? And how do we use our product to ensure that our processes are adapting to the product, meaning NetSuite, or updating the product to really productize it, right? Do we need to bring in other modules or resources within NetSuite? I use a lot of the customized 80% of it, leave, customize, I should say that differently, customize 20% of it, leave 80% of the application as it is and morph to that versus the inverse. So you can get out of these things. So getting to that point of inflection points where you're building scale, you're bringing in a lot more users, a lot of users that may have never used NetSuite. So really framing a responsibility within this department more as that product, PMO, business analyst that is owner of NetSuite and the applications that can push adoption, push, strategy and collaboration cross-functionally of what's the system really need to do or what do their processes need to be morphed to, right? So giving the back and forth of, great, that's what we want to do. The system's going to work this way. Now can we tweak the processes or, how we do this workflow slightly differently so that it is most optimal for NetSuite. And then the output is the data that we get out, the reports, the usability of that end to end that helps make the decisions faster and see visibility in the performance of the business extremely fast. And that's ultimately at the end what you want to get out of it, right? Is that ability to see and react and or make decisions in the company, in the business with the right tool.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to recap a little bit. We're about at the end of this session. So some of the things we talked about was if you're a smaller company, 20 people, 40 people, under 100 million, a NetSuite admin can likely do most of what you need. At some point when you grow, you get over 100 million, certainly get over 75 people, you start looking at maybe bringing in a business analyst because you want to start looking across your organization. A lot more things are interactive and interoperable, and you want to make sure whatever you create works together. Because you don't want to have this divide of your admin and your financials and your operations team all working separately. Because, if you have a bag of tacos and that salsa starts to leak, you'll lose all your tacos. That'll make you really sad. And that's kind of what happens when you don't have a good conversation between what's happening on your administration and NetSuite and the rest of the company. You want to put it together so you get to enjoy your taco. And then we're going to have another session about this. And we're going to talk about the entire meal, like how to really, when you get a little bit bigger, 100 million, 500 million, how to really get your NetSuite to sing for you. So I'm excited to that up, Lander. So we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. Yeah, it's amazing to see organizations go through this transition. You get into the resistance, what I call, it's like, learning new muscles and feeling them twitch. And then at the end, when you can really align this to a full meal, call it kiles, then you're really humming, right? You're really humming, which is a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we'll be back, folks, next Tuesday.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lander.
Bye.
There's supposed to be a thing I'm supposed to say. Where is it? Your technology's complicated, but your tacos shouldn't be. Something like that. Yeah, I can't remember. All right. Well, anyway.